Good evening, everyone. I welcome the gallery and councillors to tonight's meeting on the 23rd of June. Gosh, the year's nearly over. I wish to advise that it's council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, record of attendance. There is no leave of absence previously approved. Item 2, 2.1, confirmation of minutes of previous ordinary council meeting. The recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Waratah Wynyard Council held at Council Chambers, 21 Saunders Street on Monday 19th of May 2025, a copy of which, having previously been circulated to councillors prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true and correct record.
So moved.
So moved by Councillor Bramage. Seconded Councillor Courtney. Any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed to at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes. So could you please advise if there are any corrections to the minutes at this point? If there are no corrections, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this evening from councillors, please? Any declarations of interest from our staff? No. Nothing this evening. So we move on to item 4, councillor announcements and report. Item 4.1 is announcements by the Mayor, and I have 2 small announcements this evening. The first one is I wish to congratulate Anna Bosveld, a 15-year-old wonderkind from Wynyard who has been awarded the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra's annual $2,500 Timbug AM Rising Star Prize last week in acknowledgement of her exceptional piano playing skills. Last Thursday evening, she performed publicly alongside the prestigious orchestra at the Federation Concert Hall in Hobart. Vale John Smith. I wish to acknowledge the passing of ex-councillor John Smith and his contribution to this council during his time as a councillor from 2011 to 2014. As a councillor, John was an exemplary role model who demonstrated responsibility and accountability at all times to the community and council. John also demonstrated a willingness to invest in respectful dialogue with council colleagues while honouring differing opinions, maintaining high integrity with fairness and honesty. John reluctantly resigned from this council due to ill health in 2014. We pass on our condolences to his wife Sylvia and his family. Item 4.2, there is a recommendation there before you, councillors. My communication. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
I'll second that.
Sorry, so Councillor Roberts moved and Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded. Are there any queries, questions about my communications? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 4.3, reports by delegates. None have been received. 4.4, notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council notes the following workshops. And I won't list those workshops, but could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Roberts is going to move.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Bramage seconded. Are there any queries or comments that anyone wishes to make about these particular workshops that you have all attended? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Item 5, public questions and statements. There are 5.1, 5.2, nil received. Public questions without notice, and public statements without notice. I'll read a statement prior to inviting our members of the gallery to make their statements. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of Council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that the Council's meeting procedures must be followed, and in particular it should be noted that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions. All questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person, and there is to be no questions or discussion related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. So public questions and statements, we have 2 this evening. Mr. Benthall, would you come forward to that table there, and if you would, you're making a statement, is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
In asking the councillors to consider our boundary subdivision application favourably, I make the following point. The proposed area of Lot 1 is as the property has been fenced and used, including the tennis court, by the Hookway family for the past 50 years, not 30 years as I wrote here, but I just checked, it's 50 years. Proposed lots 2 and 3 will continue in the future to be farmed by myself and the neighbouring Chamley family. We are not proposing to reduce the area of the land available for agricultural purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hookway, if you would like to come forward, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to reiterate what Mike said is my statement. So Mum passed last February and left the house, and the house has been there since 1970, the year I was born, so I'm pretty good with the date actually. And I just want to reiterate that the boundary that we're looking for, a boundary adjustment that we've put in, and it's come back as a subdivision. We're not seeking to expand to new land. This boundary has been in place for 50 plus years. It's as is, so there's no impact at all on agricultural land. It's been like that since then. So I know when you look on drawings, it looks very sterile and looks like we're proposing a new subdivision and seeking new land, but it's an existing boundary. Hence why we lobbied the councillors and opened the invite out to come and have a look, which most obliged, so thank you for the people that did come out, just so you could see it firsthand that it's an existing boundary. I'm not saying that Mum and Dad, I don't know what the rules were then, but they own the land around it and they just created that boundary. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hookway. Thank you both. So that is the end of item 5, public questions and statements. Item 6, we move into the Planning Authority at 6:09. Item 6, Planning Authority items, public questions and public statements. None have been received. So moving on to item 6.3, subdivision in 3 into 3 lots located at 134, 140 and Lot 1, Port Road, Boat Harbour, SD 2216. And there is a recommendation there before you, councillors, that council, in accordance with section 51 and section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard refuses an application for a subdivision 3 into 3 lots at 134, 140 and Lot 1, Port Road, Boat Harbour, on the following grounds. And there are some extra details there that need to be considered in that recommendation. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Michael Johnson, Councillor Johnson moved. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes,
Councillor Hyland is the seconder for that motion. Councillor Johnson, do you wish to speak to this motion, please?
yeah, I just think it's a great job what the two applicants have done and can combine together and sorted this little process out that down the track that it might be amended to a really good outcome. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Hyland, did you wish to?
I just add a couple of things. I think, having been around here for a while with this prime agricultural land thing, I suppose I could say we've struggled for 25 years, Gary, with different views on how it is and what it's about, and that just some things make sense, some things don't. But you know, we've just got to work through it, and hopefully, I don't know, they'll come to their senses and change some rules because they just don't make sense, and particularly when the boundaries have been there for so long, you know. But anyway, hopefully it gets worked out.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any speakers against this motion?
I'd like to speak
You wish to speak for the motion, Councillor Ramage?
at this stage. Having been one of the people go out and have a look, it's very disheartening to see an established garden going to be destroyed through the moving of a boundary. A driveway as well. The established garden's been there, well, I'd say 70 years. And it takes 70 years to get it back again. It's just a shame, as Councillor Holland said, why can't there be some... I know we're going to have rules, but I reckon they're going to be a bit flexible. It's going to be such a shame for this garden to be destroyed. Maybe the tennis court, certainly the driveway. So, just things to think of. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor
Oh,
Ramage.
sorry.
Yes.
If this application don't get up, which is probably not going to, is there another one that could, favourable one that could follow through?
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I'll ask our planning officer if she would like to respond to that question.
If the current application before council were refused, there would be nothing preventing the applicants from either submitting a completely different approach or a slightly amended approach through discussions with the planning department, and we're happy to work with people. So a refusal from council at this point doesn't mean there can't be any format of subdivision over it, and we'd have a discussion with them about anything else that they were proposing or whether there was an alternative pathway open to them.
Thank you very much for that.
Excuse me, Councillor Roberts, if you have a question for
No, I was just going to speak on the matter.
Okay, so if you'd like to speak on the matter, thank you.
Look, I was actually going to speak on the matter. Look, this is the worst part of our job, to be honest, as councillors. It's very terrible, actually. When we're doing the planning authority items, we're not technically sitting as councillors at that point. We're sitting as members of the planning authority. Now, as members of the planning authority, as Councillor Bramage and Councillor Hyland have been battling for many years now, and I'm battling for a few years myself, is the bureaucracy of it all.
Councillor Roberts, if I can just interrupt just briefly for a moment, please don't address the gallery.
Right.
You need to speak to the council.
Right, so it is noted in the details of this, in the agenda, that is noted that the application was advertised under clause 21.4.2, P2, but further consideration and detailed assessment undertaken, it is considered the application can achieve compliance with 21.4.2 A2B. as the proposed boundary location for lots 1 and 2 will increase the current setback of the existing dwellings to be adjoining agricultural use. So whilst it might not be the result that is completely desired, the council here has proposed an alternative that perhaps if this alternative route was followed, that there would at least be some kind of amicable outcome for the public. As Councillor Hyland addressed as well, we really do appreciate the public working together to help resolve things such as these matters, and we always feel very terrible whenever we can't help people with matters such as this in the immediacy, but we do like to, and our staff do an amazing job providing information of alternative means to achieve these things. So that helps answer your question, Councillor Ramage.
Thank you, Councillor Ramage. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Yeah, I went out and looked at the property, and you can certainly see the common sense and the practicality of what they're wanting to do with the boundary adjustment. But we have to move with the recommendations of the refusal because of the rules won't allow it. So yeah, I look forward to the alternative that hopefully can be successful.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any further speakers to this motion? So the motion was moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Hyland. If there are no further speakers to this motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 6.4, multiple dwellings, 1 additional unit and carport located at Unit 4, 12A, Somerset Esplanade, Somerset, DA 372025. The recommendation is that Council, in accordance with Section 51 and Section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard, grants approval for a multiple dwellings, 1 additional unit and carport at Unit 4, 12A, Somerset Esplanade, Somerset, subject to 8 conditions that are listed there. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Hyland moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Hyland, would you like to open the...
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. It's pretty straightforward, this one. There was a bit of a minor issue there in a submission, but it was to do with shade, which is a very touchy issue, and I think the shade was only around 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, 10 o'clock, so it was sort of there for 1 minute and gone the next, so I think they'll work that out. But no, happy with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Are there any speakers against this motion?
Can I speak against it?
Sorry. Are there any speakers against this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried unanimously.
Just leave.
Thank you. Item 6.5, proposed dwelling and 3 water tanks located at 5 Azure Vista, Boat Harbour Beach, DA 42/2025. The recommendation is that Council, in accordance with Section 51 and Section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard, grants approval for a dwelling and 3 water tanks at 5 Azure Vista, Boat Harbour Beach, subject to 6 conditions that are listed there. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts moved. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Hyland seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open a debate about this item?
Not in particularly. I'd like to see these DAs meet all the requirements so that we can, continue to develop and grow in these regions. We obviously don't want them overdeveloped or things that don't really fit within the context of what that's about in Boat Harbour. And so for them to meet the DA requirements, let's continue to grow and let's continue to do it. And I like the water tanks as well. I think to do things that fits with our long-term strategy as well. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. The Planning Authority closes at 6:20. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. 7.1, responses to councillor questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. 7.1.1, councillor Courtney, working with vulnerable people card, and there is an officer's response to your question. 7.1.2, councillor Bramage, providing photo information with rates notice, and there is an officer's response there for you. 7.2, councillor questions received in writing. We have not received any. 7.3, councillor questions without notice. Councillor Courtney.
I've got 3, but I'll be real quick. So I will.
Can't be that quick that I can't write it down.
I will. So the first one is Councillor Bramwich has asked if we could send out some information with our rates notices on FOGO. So this seems pertinent. One of the ratepayers has come to me and shown me that they've got a little tag on their FOGO bill, on their FOGO tag, because they use these bags for their FOGO. Now these bags are supplied by Mainland Council for their FOGO. So if these bags that people are using, I use these myself, the biodegradable FOGO bags, if we're not to be using these, as this seems to, sort of state that we're not to use these bags in the FOGO bins, we definitely need some information to be going out with that, because I thought that we could use them, the biodegradable, FOGO bags, until we were told differently. But the public, and this has been provided by, council on the mainland that does FOGO, so you can see it's easy to confuse if we don't put that information out there. So I think that needs to go out. If we're going to do this exercise of giving information on the FOGO, that needs to be included, because, anybody in the public.
Okay, so your question is to determine whether...
Can we add that information as part of that process that Councillor Bramwich has asked about? Could we add that in there? Because I think that seems important.
The second question?
Second, on the working with the vulnerable, I read it and then I'm still confused. So we're still working groups with the vulnerable. We still go out to see the vulnerable. Written communication, oral communication in the last fortnight. I myself went down to the library. I was asked to read to 2 classes of kids. We're having that contact. So I'm not sure that the word incidental, I need that clarified further, because we are having this contact with the vulnerable people. It seems to be part of our regular activity. If we all work with the vulnerable, like we don't just represent the people that are non-vulnerable in our community, and we do spend time with them. So I need further clarification on that, because I can't see why there's an instruction on getting the card when we are having these interactions. I certainly am. I'm sure other councillors would be. So I would like some more clarification on that, because I just don't get it. I just don't understand.
I'll see what I can do, but I'm not sure there is any further clarification. Those are the definitions that are in.
Yeah, but under those definitions, we would be required, because we do have regular interaction.
Well, I don't think that all councillors do. It's not a part of your job.
Yes, no, I understand.
I mean, that's where
But many of us who work in the sports committees, the youth committees, go out and do these. We do work with the vulnerable, because it's part of our what we do as councillors. So, I acknowledge that some councillors will never go and do it, but I think most of us do. Most of us go out to those community groups and talks to them and finds out what they need from us. So, yeah, even if we could workshop it, I just don't understand what the hurdle is, because I think that we are working with the vulnerable, and that seems to be a basic requirement that we should be able to bring in. So I'll leave that one there. Third one, if through you, Madam Mayor, to our lovely engineering manager, Daniel, any chance we could follow up on, there seems to be government grants going for us to transition to solar panels, and I'd love to provide the community groups and people using the sports facilities with cheaper electricity, mostly with squash, that's all you need, the lights on. So is there any chance we could look at whether we get rebates, the councils actually would be allowed to get those rebates, and whether it's just residents, or whether we could put those solar panels on our buildings, and that way, we could look at batteries later on, so that if there's blackouts and that sort of thing, we've got areas that we can use for community resilience, for showers, to charge phones, have meals, people to come to in crisis.
Yeah, for your mayor, I could certainly follow that up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Just going back to your talking about working with children. I went to the Somerset Primary School on Thursday to talk with grade 6 children. So yes, I get out more than anyone else around that area, but I have a card anyway. So.
Yeah, myself too, but yeah.
Okay, are there any further questions without notice? Councillor Raw.
I'd just like to ask, I've got 2 questions. So the first one is to the Director of Community Services, Mr Cattermole. It's great to see that the Community Wellbeing Plan is on our table and in draft. And I was just wondering whether you could talk about the public consultation or let us know what was the extent of the public consultation in getting the document to this point.
I could do that now or when the item comes up later on. Yeah.
Up to you.
Do it now? Yeah, no worries. So the item will come up later tonight to go on with the exhibition. In developing the plan, we did engage a consultant, as well as providing the consultant with lots of information and literature review. There was a lot of one-on-one meetings with service agencies. That's particularly deep dive information with a range of agencies. There was a working group session with councillors. The consultant went into schools and had roundtables with young people. They even had a sidewalk talk. That was their description of setting up on the footpath outside of Woolworths, and they did that on a couple of occasions. A number of surveys were collected, and we broadly advertised that. It was probably only about 70 or 80. I can't recall the exact number, but there was another way to get some information from the community. So there's some of the methodologies that we use to put the plan together.
Your second question?
The second question is just to the Director of Infrastructure, Mr Summers. The stormwater that ends up coming out on pipes onto the beaches, I'm just wondering whether there's a reason why the inspection caps are put on the beaches and whether there's any avenue for those inspection caps to go up in the grass behind. I do not know that that's a Parks and Wildlife Crown land area, but is there a reason why those inspection caps stand out so much on beaches? Yeah.
Through you, Mayor, look, I'll follow it up. I suspect the reason is that the outfalls described, as I understand them, have been extensions of the pipe. The inspection caps are typically a grate to allow overflow if the pipe blocks. That is certainly pretty possible to locate those back into the foreshore or grassed area. Again, I will look into it. I believe it's probably been a case of not having appropriate Crown approvals or Parks approvals at the time to put them in that location. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any further questions, please, without notice? Thank you for that. We'll move on to item 9, reports of officers and committees, our annual plan and budget estimates 2025-26. Adoption of the annual plan. This is a fairly large preamble for this particular motion. So the recommendation is the adoption of the annual plan, adoption of the annual estimates, fees and charges, rates resolution, general rate, fire service levy, waste management charges, stormwater rates, payment options, supplementary rates as well. So could I have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts has moved, seconded for that motion.
Seconded.
Councillor Hyland seconded.
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did participate.
There is, if I could just point out, under the stormwater services rates, 4.1, 5.1A, for land within the hatched area, there is a number of cents, C-E-N-T-S. That's an inaccurate number. It should just read 1.15. So if you can just change that. So we have a motion before you. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open any debate around this motion?
Oh, look, this is such a long agenda item that I could discuss it at length, and I'm sure we don't want that, Mayor Dunham. Look, so I just want to say real quickly, and I want to say this really, and I mean this very dearly, the public will never see the amount of work that goes into the presentations that we receive as councillors, the workshop presentations, the amount of meetings we've had about this. the specific things that we'll have meetings about, a lot of the questions that come out of those meetings, those workshops. Now, it's easy for us as councillors to accept the credit of the surplus and the fact that year in, year out, this council is run excellently. Now, as not just a councillor of this council, but as a member of this community, I'm very appreciative of the high level of skilled and qualified and educated professionals that we do have presenting us this information. Because for us as council, we can adopt these year on year and take all the credit, but really we're just so blessed to have an organisation full of such wonderful staff that deliver this for us year in, year out and make us look good, to be honest. And I cannot credit all the staff enough for this. It all ties in together. The Director of Infrastructure works with the Director of Finance, who works with the Director of Corporate Governance, who works with the CEO to decide how we can allocate and resource these numbers. Our council has a $72 million committed spend by 2031 and 2032, and I think we're just mad enough to deliver that. And I think we have the people behind the scenes, that behind us as councillors, as a team, that make us look good and deliver these results year in, year out. And I just wanted to say that I think it's only fair to credit those that deliver that and make us look good. So if I was a member of the public, if I was a voter in this region, I'd be very happy with the results, not just the councillors, but the staff of council and the council as a whole. So I just want to credit you all greatly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Yeah, just a little bit of gold that I pulled from annual plan. In the waste transfer station one, they're continuing to have free entry for everyone. And also having City Mission there, you can see it's lowering waste volumes, and City Mission is recycling, reusing good items that can have a second life. So yeah, it's really helping in the landfill area.
Thank you for raising that, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Any further, Councillor Hyland?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'd just like to probably highlight a couple of good points, and I think over the last 7 or 8 years we've enjoyed this, bringing our budget down, because our staff have done such a great job with it that it's nice and easy to highlight some very good points in it, and I've just noted 4 or 5, if I may. Of course, we've still got our 3.5 discount on rates that are paid fully before the end of August, so that's still a bonus. And we're actually delivering our 9th consecutive surplus, which is, I think, a credit to everybody concerned. And the number of consecutive low rate increases, I've just about lost count, probably, and it's come out at 3.9, so which is a good result, and equates around to $350 to $400 per property. So the storm water, 3.6 Sisters Beach and Boat Harbour, and 3.5 for Wynyard and Somerset. That's it. Now with Somerset, as you're driving through Somerset now, and even the general public can see, it's probably the first time for a long time we've had a major stormwater job happening in the municipality, and that's actually going right up into the main street, as I understand. So we've had the floods come through, and the units actually, which might surprise a few people, at the back of the newsagents have sort of suffered twice in a row. I think that's correct, Daniel. I think we're pretty close to that. Now, for us, one big surprise, there's no rise in the state fire levy, 25, 26. So I just thought someone might have picked that one up. But anyway, that's a plus. And a couple of reasonable good numbers. This year's capital expenditure is $25.6 million, which includes $15.6 million in new infrastructure spend and $7.6 million asset renewals, and a $2.3 million on upgrading our existing assets. And as a bonus for that, we received $6.3 million in capital grant funding, which is a very good little bonus to go along that. So, and if you keep doing the right thing and looking after your assets, I think everybody looks after us as well. So, no, congratulations to all. It's a marvellous effort.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Courtney.
I'm just going to real quick say thank you very much to our senior management team. For years, you've delivered great budgets. You've done excellent asset management. We're winning awards. You're an outstanding team. And the fact that you come back and give us a budget that once again is lower than most of the councils on the coast, and for what we deliver for that, you're an exceptional team, and I value you, and I'm sure that other councillors value you, and I'm sure that the community values you. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you for that. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Bramage.
I better say something anyway. Look, I really would like to thank the staff for this and putting up with me all through the budget process, because I probably asked a lot of stupid questions and said no a lot of times. 3.9% is probably a little bit higher than I would have liked, but if we want to deliver the services, what the community expect, we've got to do that. I'm sure the people out in the country will be happy too when they get their road slashed from the road to the fence, all that sort of thing, because there were a few comments this year. I'm sure there'll be some more comments. But if we want to do these things, it's got to be paid for. And as Councillor Holland said, a lot of our money goes underground where no one sees it. It's just lucky it's in the eyes of the traffic in Somerset where it's been buried. Because if it was up the back somewhere, people wouldn't know where that money went. So, look, once again, as I said, it's probably a little bit higher than I hoped for, but if we want to do these jobs and follow them through and finish what we started, that's how it is. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Any further speakers? No further speakers. We've had no speakers against the motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.2, the rates and charges policy review. The recommendation, councillors, is that council adopts the revised rates and charges policy as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Hyland. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open the debate?
Look, not much debate here. Again, just following on what Councillor Bramage said. One thing you've highlighted there, Councillor Bramage, is that the reality is we have to pay. We have to pay for it. So the staff try and keep it as low as possible, and they present it to us as that. But the reality is there is a high level of service in our region. It's a high quality lifestyle in our region as well, and we're trying to provide all these things and deliver them. And the cost of living is rising for this council as well as anyone else. And of course, with the price of contractors and supplies and material has really shot through the roof post-COVID. So when you're dealing with so much concrete, so much wood, and so much steel, it does add up. So the fact that this council can deliver these services to the level they do and charging the prices they do and keeping the expenditure from blowing out, but not only that, also strategise for the future and figure out a pathway to deliver the right infrastructure to benefit not only the next 10 years, but like with Somerset, with Anzac Park, the infrastructure under the park itself will last 50 years. So I see us future-proof in the region, and the investment is there, and again, I think it's excellent financial management, and I think the future's pretty bright in this region. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? The motion was moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Hyland. And as there are no speakers against the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.3, draft outline development plans, Wynyard and Somerset. There is a recommendation there, two parts to that recommendation. That council, number one, notes the draft outline development plans for River Road, Wynyard and Malakoff Street, Somerset, and point 2.6, community feedback on the draft outline development plans. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Hyland moved. Could I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded that motion. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. it's just, it's out there now, and it doesn't automatically trigger the rezoning of land. It's sort of, that'll be up to the owners of the land if they wish to pursue that. But I know the Wynyard one, I think, got us years ago, since we sort of said, well, perhaps the next stage is over the other side of the bridge, and we've already got water on that side. So anyway, and the one in Malakoff Street, Somerset's just up in the back of Somerset, so it's a little bit either end of town. So we'll just have to wait and see where it goes.
Okay, thank you for that. Deputy Mayor Edwards, you wish to speak?
Yeah, just virtually what Councillor Hyland said. It's just forward planning, and it doesn't trigger a rezoning, rather a strategic guiding document for those that wish to in the future submit to the planning scheme for rezoning in the future if they choose to look into this. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes, and that does reinforce that it is guidance for developers. Are there any speakers against this motion? Are there any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Hyland put the motion, Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded the motion. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.4, Draft Community Wellbeing Plan.
So
The
moved.
recommendation is that Council endorses the Draft Community Wellbeing Plan to be released to the public for a 3-week feedback period prior to adoption.
So moved.
Councillor Courtney moved the motion. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Raw. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate?
Look, I think it's fantastic that we're going out to the community with this, because we often have people come to us with great ideas for what's, in benefit in the community. So this is a good time for all those people that bring those ideas forward to put them into paper and send them to council. But I think it's a great idea, because when we have our age plan, our youth plan, our community wellbeing plan, it felt like we were operating or making plans that were in isolation. And if we want true community wellbeing, we need to bring everybody to the table at the same time. So I think this is a great idea to not have these plans separate, to put them under one overarching community plan and to get community feedback during that process. So I think this is a great idea, and I'm really happy that we're putting this forward. Thanks very much.
Are there any further speakers to the motion? Councillor Raw?
Yeah, look, it's really great that this has landed for us after a fair deal, as Alan outlined earlier, in consultation with our community. And reading the document, the guiding principles, collaboration, equity, innovation and adaptation, win-win planning, multiple incremental gains and outcome and scale focused. And then the top 5 priorities that are there. I probably don't need to go into them, but affordable housing, crime and safety prevention, range of activities to do, connections to the natural environment, advocate for increased mental health. And then the strategic themes are all very solid basis for the plan to be written on. And it's wonderful that we've got 3 weeks now to be able to have a look at it in depthly. And I'm looking forward to working with Alan and his team on, talking about what is actually going to happen behind the plan and how things will be implemented for the plan. So I'm very much looking forward to that work.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any speakers against the motion? No. Councillor Bromwich, do you wish to
Not against the motion. I don't know whether it's appropriate, but speaking for the motion, something tells me that we've got to look for, in all these things, some excess land for tiny housing. There's a show on Sunrise the other day, so how they're making tiny homes in 5 or 6 weeks. Council approved and bring them to a site. I think we should probably take the next step in showing some leadership, if that's the right word, in identifying some of these parcels of land we got with all this for that sort of thing. Only my thoughts.
Okay, thank you for that idea. Much appreciated. Are there any further speakers against the motion?
not against.
Pardon?
I'm not against it. I'm going to speak for it.
You can speak for it if you've already spoken.
No.
Okay. If you wish to speak for it, then Councillor.
A couple of things here. With the way the world's going right now, especially in the country, you can look around certain parts of the country and see where it's going a bit backwards, to be honest. And while people in the past may have accused us of being a little bit backwards, I can look around and see that we're going quite forwards, Councillor Ramage. All right, so I really love it with the CAP committee, with the community wellbeing plan, the Y plan, excellent, the OSA, the sports stuff, the rec stuff, the sports precinct in Wynyard and the sports precinct in Somerset and the Boat Harbour Beach Master Plan, the Anzac Park. So you can see so much quality work, and some of the things, it's easy to see a big playground, but it can be hard to see that we've been doing the Fossil Bluff and Surrounding Trails plan as well, and the Cam River Reserve plan's going as well. The extent to this council's delivery of community is just almost overwhelming, really. There's been a tradition, really, in a site that council, local government has traditionally been all about as rates, roads and rubbish, but I would argue quite differently that local government always has been and should always be about the people. And so I truly believe that. And I think this council sets an amazing example for all councils. I think a lot of the work that we have done has perhaps been copied in other regions, and I hope everyone copies the work that's being done here because it's innovative. And again, the things we discuss privately in workshops and different uses for sites for housing, or how we're going to, Councillor Bramage, I cannot credit enough, of always trying to help the public's pocket and just always looking out for the little guy or the worker or the families, and it really is vocalised privately. And so to see, I know what people think of some consultants, but the people that did this did an amazing job actually, and genuinely I cannot support this enough. I think to bring all of those separate plans into one overarching document to deliver one overarching strategy is definitely indicative of where we're at with the progress of these programs and projects, and I just can't credit it enough. So thank you so very much to all involved, and I think the community's going to see a lot of benefit out of this in the long run. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor Courtney moved the motion. Councillor Raw seconded the motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5 Draft Ballard Avenue Environment Reserve Master Plan for public consultation. The recommendation is that Council approves the release of the Draft Ballard Avenue Environment Reserve Master Plan for public consultation and feedback prior to finalising the master plan. Could I have a mover?
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Deputy Mayor Edwards was first, thank you. And Councillor Courtney, are you second? Thank you. Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to open the debate?
Yeah, I'm just, if we go back to the history of it, it went out for public consultation in 2021 to look at selling. It found that it had a protected species on it, the Eucalyptus rookerina, however you say that, which resulted in no sale. And here we have the Ballard Avenue draft ready for the master plan after public consultation. This site will strengthen the site's ecological function through sensitive design and long-term management. It gives nature first to the area and identifying strategies and action with compatible community use without compromising the area's biodiversity values. This will be a beautiful site, and it was a pleasure working with the SEEK group as well, which had big input into working out the area, as well as the design person that helped also. So yeah, can't wait for it to come forward.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Courtney.
So I'm just going to say real quick, this exercise showed the importance of community consultation, because when we put this out and we thought that we knew what we were going to do with it, Landcare came back to us and said, okay, this is a protected species and you've got to revisit it. And then we had our CAP team go out and put forward their ideas for the area. So it was a community consultation and then a community contribution through our committee. It's fantastic what they've come up with. I think that having such a flat area and so many in this vicinity that walk and look for those green areas to sort of get out and about and for mental health. This is a really great plan. It's close to town. And I think that if the community can give some input and hopefully get on board with what we've put forward, this is a great little sort of secret area at the back of Wynyard that people can go and have a little bit of a wander, take in the trees, the water, the plants, the birds, the wildlife, and that's really great for mental health as well as the physical health of getting them out and about. So this is what we're about. As Councillor Roberts said, roads, rates and rubbish, but things like this are building resilience. So I think this is one of those councils that isn't just doing roads, rates and rubbish. We're actually building in community resilience in what we're doing with our plans, and this is one of those things that does that. So thanks to the CAP committee for the work that they put into this, and thanks for Landcare for coming forward.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers?
I've definitely got something to say here, I want to say. So, look, a couple of things here. I'll just really quickly, I want to say this. I really want to credit our Director of Infrastructure and Development, Daniel Summers, for the work he does across everything, really with everything. And that's where Councillor Courtney knows where I'm going next with this. I want to reserve special praise for Dana Hicks for the work she does at this council. I worked at this council when Dana started and she did a great job when she started. Now to come back all these years later and see Dana's growth and development as a professional and she's done an incredible job. It's definitely a big feather in the cap of this council and the work that goes into the staff here. And I just want to credit Dana's presentations, her research, the way she presents it to us is in a way that's very informative. And Dana knows how to explain the vision of what these committees are trying to do, and the work that's been done with the councillors, Deputy Mayor Edwards, Councillor Courtney and the CAP committee has just been tremendous, and I really think that Dana deserves a lot of credit for the work that's done behind the scenes for that. And I think it'd be very remiss not to mention her tonight when this has been put forward to council, because her work in this has been tireless. It's been absolutely immaculate without fault. So I just want to credit her for that. There's so many people that put all this work in behind the scenes, and it goes beyond a wage, because the level of attention and detail that's put into these projects it's all passion. And so I think that they deserve credit for it, and I just really would like to mention that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Rule.
Yeah, I'd just like to say another thing around what's happening around there that I find, I only found out the other day and find really invigorating. I was involved with Landcare on a planting there just near the Ballard Avenue, just a little bit up the walkway. And they're not only putting in native trees, but they're actually recreating native trees for our area. And that's, taking it another step further. What was seen around Wynyard traditionally, many years ago, they're trying to recreate that. And I think that's a good thing to do.
Thank you, Councillor Roy. It sounds like it's very progressive in terms of the environment that they're trying to create. Are there any speakers against this motion? The motion was put by Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Courtney. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.6 Buildings Infrastructure Asset Management Plan. The recommendation is that Council adopts the Buildings Infrastructure Asset Management Plan 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Johnson. Do you wish to speak to this motion, please?
Well, look, just again, real quickly, I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but I want to credit Jono Linden and guys like Murray and Jamison and these guys behind the scenes that do an amazing job with our assets. People, if they've seen how many buildings this council owns and the amount of deeds and the amount of footpaths and kilometres of footpaths and roads we have, and the assets are a massive a part of this operation, and I truly believe that we have the best asset managers in the business. When I was at this council, Mr. Jonathan Linden taught me pretty much everything I know about asset utilisation and asset management when I was the recreation officer, and I was very thankful for his knowledge and blown away by just truly how knowledgeable our council is about their assets. And we've been real innovative in that as well, that space. We've always been seemingly years ahead of what the next trend is, and again, credit to Daniel Summers as well for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Rule.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to point out how appreciative I am of these three particular things that are in the plan. First is the high risk rating, a list of high risk rating, which we'd all want to be there. And then in the appendixes, the acquisition project summary, you can see everything that's happening within this, and Appendix C had the maintenance forecast, and I found those tables and that information very helpful as a councillor. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rule. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Any speakers against the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Johnson. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.7, Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel, new appointments. The recommendation before you, Council, is that Council appoints the following community representatives for an interim term of 2025-2026 to the Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel. The first recommendation is Ian Dutton, and the second one is Karen Feeney. Could I have a mover, Deputy Mayor Edwards? Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Courtney, seconded. Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Yeah, I sat on the panel when we were going over these representatives, and they bring a great lot of wealth of knowledge and experience, and they'll be a great value to the SEEP team. So yeah, I look forward to working with them, with the others around the table.
Thank you for that input. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Courtney.
I'm just going to take a quick second to thank the CAP team, because as a full-time worker, I struggle to get back to a lot of the meetings, and you know, I'm unavailable a lot of time. I read the emails and I see what we put forward, and obviously we talked to Dana and Daniel, Ms Hicks and Director of Engineering, Mr Summers, about what we're proposing to bring forward to Council. And I feel sometimes I've really let that team down, because I haven't been able to be as available as much as I should be for that. But I would like to note that that team is exceptional. We've put a community team together that run the show themselves. And as Councillor Roberts noted earlier this evening, Dana Hicks is exceptional, and Mr Summers, as always, is exceptional. So that team, that committee is pretty much running itself. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Councillor Edwards for doing such a great job with the committee and being there when I can't be there, because obviously this is something that's close to my heart and I'd like to be there more. So incredible team, incredible work, incredible from Daniel and Dana. So thank you very much to that team for everything they do, and welcome the new members on board.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney, and it would be good if we could pass those comments on to the CAP team. So are there any speakers against this motion? The motion was put by Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Courtney. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. 9.8 is the annual report, communication and engagement strategy. The recommendation is that Council notes the Year 1 progress of communication and engagement strategy 2024-2027. Could I have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate?
Look, again, I think this is one of the things that we're exceptional at. I think that we go out and get community consultation done right, and we've been doing well with the community conversations, but I would ask whether we could look at having another one of them sometime soon, because I think this is one of our strongest points, that we go out, we tell the community what we're doing in the area, and we give them that opportunity to come and talk to us and provide us feedback on what we're doing. So I think this is one of our strongest points, our community consultation. That's through the strategy that we do that. So yeah, thank you for the staff for actually keeping that continuing on.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further? Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to speak?
Yeah. On reading the strategy, it's only it's a 1 year update. There's so much in this report that shows what council is doing in this space, and reading the report is no small job. They have come a long way ensuring strong, transparent and meaningful connections with the community. This report is worth a read, as there is so much good happening in this space.
Thank you for that feedback. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor Rourke.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the communication engagement strategy is one of the underlying documents that really gives power to the council in the way they work with the community.
Thank you for that. The motion was put by Councillor Courtney, seconded by Councillor Roberts. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.9, the Quarterly Information Report. Recommendation that Council notes the Quarterly Information Report for the Organisational Performance Department as of 31st of May 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
Second that.
Councillor Roberts moved, who seconded that motion? Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to make any comments about this particular?
Same thing I always say really is I just cannot encourage the public enough to read these documents, especially the quarterly one. It just has so much comprehensive data and statistical analysis in there that a lot of the questions we get asked, or a lot of the questions the staff ask, or a lot of the questions that people come in to the council chambers to ask, or a lot of the questions people come to the gallery to ask. Council puts out these documents that has a lot of that information in there. So if people are ever wondering how do I access this information, I cannot encourage enough for them to get a copy of the council agenda, which will have these items in it, and it'll have them all collated into one spot. And I really cannot encourage people enough to get involved in really how their local area is governed and managed, and to find these details out so they have a really good solid grasp of what's happening around them. So that's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Any speakers against the motion? The motion was put by Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Roberts. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Item 9.10, Urban Stormwater Policy and Guidelines. The recommendation is that Council adopts the Urban Stormwater Policy and Guidelines as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Johnson has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hyland, seconded. Councillor Johnson, do you wish to talk to this motion?
Other than the progress of the stormwaters currently going on at the moment, other than the report shown.
Thank you. Any further speakers to the motion or against the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Hyland. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Item 9.11, Council Work Health and Safety Policy. Recommendation that Council adopts the Council Work Health and Safety Policy as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Courtney moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Johnson. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I need to say that I think it's great that we're doing workplace health and safety for councillors, and that we're managing psychosocial risk, because mental health is such a, big impact, and I think that's a great thing to do. As long as we keep walking that fine line between not restricting the public asking questions and making sure that councillors' welfare is looked after. I think as long as we keep walking that line and making sure that the public aren't restricted from coming to councillors, and do it in a respectful way, and same in return. So I think it's great that we're managing the psychosocial risks.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers, please? there any speakers against this policy? The policy, or this policy, was moved by Councillor Courtney, seconded by Councillor Johnson. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.12, policy review commemorative tributes policy. The recommendation is that council adopts the revised commemorative tributes policy as presented.
Yep, so moved.
Councillor Courtney moved. Could I have a second, please? Councillor Roberts. Do you wish to talk to this motion, Councillor Courtney?
I just think it's great that we're making the policy clear, because too often councils accept gifts, election time, or they accept gifts from community groups with no asset management plan. So I think it's great that we're making sure that in this area, anything that's contributed to council as a gift, that's a commemorative gift, that we look at whether we can actually look after that asset as part of our budget before we accept these gifts. So I think that's a very important thing to do as part of our process.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Raw.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a question, because it's about commemorative tributes that people of the public would like to put out into our community. And I noticed there's one point in there where it says if the asset wears out, that it's not council responsibility to do anything else, which is fine. I'm just wondering, do we collect the tribute, the little tribute that sits there? Is there any way of passing that on to the history group, or does council keep those things as assets wear out?
I think I'll have to pass that to someone else. Who would like to speak to that one, please?
Through you, I genuinely can't think of any cases where they've reached end of life to point to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
It doesn't mean it won't happen.
Correct.
Yep. Thank you for that question. Are there any speakers against this particular motion? Councillor Courtney moved the motion. Councillor Roberts seconded. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 9.13, policy review donations of assets to council policy. The recommendation is that council adopt the donations of assets to council policy as presented. Could I have a mover for that?
Yeah, so moved.
Councillor Courtney has moved. Councillor Roberts has seconded. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to address this motion?
Hand in glove with the previous policy. So it just makes sense.
Thank you. That was short and sweet. Thank you for that.
Just a context for the public so they do understand. Whilst tributes, gifts, benches, bench seats, all these things are lovely, and it's a wonderful way to honour someone or to do these things, if they were never, as we've just explained previously in the agenda, that council's asset management and its strategy is just so particular and specific that if we start adding assets in tribute, etc., that we never planned on caring for or looking after, once they fall into a state of disrepair or ill-clean condition or whatnot, council's then the ratepayer financially responsible for maintaining these items that we never intended on owning traditionally in the beginning anyway. So the further clarification in these policies provides more context as to what we cannot really accept as a gift or as an asset donation to council, to avoid ratepayers paying for things that were never planned on or voted on or budget assessed or assigned in the first place. So that would be the reasoning. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm very happy that our council has the foresight to do these things. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any speakers against this motion? Are there any further speakers for the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Courtney, seconded by Councillor Roberts. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.14, policy review, waiver, reduction and refund of bonds or application fees policy guidelines. The recommendation is that council adopts the waiver, reduction and refund of bonds or application fees policy and the associated waiver, reduction and refund of bonds or application fees guidelines as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney has moved. Can I have a seconder, please?
Second.
Councillor Roberts has seconded. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, I don't need to speak to this motion.
Are there any other speakers to this motion? Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor Courtney moved the motion, Councillor Roberts seconded the motion. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Item 9.15, policy review, subdivision development bond policy. The recommendation is that council adopts the subdivision development bond policy as presented. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Bramage has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hyland. Councillor Bramage, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I
to
do,
this?
thanks, if that's all right.
You may.
Now, Daniel's probably heard me on about this before. I have got a problem with subdivisions and the developer having to put the driveway in. And then they build the house and the driveway's the wrong side of where the original one is. I don't know. I know it's more work for council, I guess. I understand that whether we take money off the developer to put the driveway in when the house is built. Because if you get around these new subdivisions that's been built the last few years, there's two driveways to 90% of the houses. Because the developer put one in, which rightly he should. And then they come and built the house, and the house doesn't suit the driveway that's there, so another one goes in. I don't know, it's just a thought. I've been banging on about it for a few years now, so I don't know. So it's out there now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage, for continuing to bang on about it.
Yeah, bit of a banger.
Are there any further speakers to the motion? Any speakers against the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Bramage, seconded by Councillor Hyland. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.16, financial report for the period ended the 31st of May 2025. Recommendation that council notes the financial report for the period ended 31st of May 2025. Could I have a mover, please, for that motion? Councillor Roberts. Could
Seconded.
I have a seconder, please? Councillor Courtney. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Again, I'll say the same thing every time there, Daniel. Just a credit to Mitchell Smith and our finance department for all the fine work they do. It says here we've got a favourable variance of 13,835. So it goes to show that even when we invest in everything and deliver everything and just really invest as much as we can, we still run into a favourable variance. So I just cannot, the wizardry that happens in our financial departments is incredible, and I just long may it continue. So thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers for this motion? Councillor Courtney.
I'm just going to say thank you very much for again, putting us in the black. And if Shane Crawford's listening, it's a no on poaching our staff. Big fat no. I'm sure he's listening.
Fine. Thank you for that comment, Councillor Courtney. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Courtney. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 9.17, Senior Management Report. Recommendation that Council, number 1, notes the Senior Management Report, and number 2, approves commencement of expression of interest process for the Accessibility Working Group. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts has moved, who? Councillor Johnson, seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I'll just say no, because I did look, I've said the same thing I've already said all night, so.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Any other speakers to this motion? Any speakers against the motion? Councillor Roberts moved the motion. Councillor Johnson seconded the motion. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. 9.18, minutes of other bodies and committees. 9.18.1, notes of the Accessibility Working Group held on the 10th of June 2025. And the recommendation is that Council receives the notes of the Accessibility Working Group meeting held on Tuesday, 10th of June 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
I'll move that.
Councillor Roberts.
Second.
And seconded
Councillor Hyland.
Councillor Hyland, thank you. Councillor Raw, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Excuse me, just a second.
Yeah.
No, look, I think as written is fine. Yep, for me.
Thank you for that. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? The motion was put by Councillor Raw, seconded by Councillor Hyland. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. 9.18.2, notes of Waratah Community Board held the 30th of May. The recommendation is that Council receives the notes of the Waratah Community Board meeting held on Friday, 30th of May. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Hyland.
Second
has
that.
moved. Councillor Roach has seconded. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I'll just make one comment. In there, you'll note that we had an update on the closure of Mount Bischoff, Bluestone Minerals. Now, the comment was made by the guy. He's working very closely with a geotourism guy, and they are actually doing a lot of work on the mine site in regard to tracks and whatever else. So we probably should take a little bit of an interest and see sort of what comes out of that, because given all the work we've done up there over the last 10 or 12 years, this sort of drags on the end of it. So, but the only hitch is it's on private land, or on, yeah. But anyway, we should at least have a look and see what the outcome is. But that's about it. And the new board, I think, is on the way, and the old board's on the way out. So.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Any further speakers to this motion? Any speakers against the motion? Councillor Hyland put the motion. Councillor Bramage seconded. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Item 10, matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. The recommendation is that the Council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in the closed meeting. Could I have a mover, please, for this motion? Councillor Roberts has moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Item 11 is closure of the meeting to the public. The recommendation is that Council resolves by an absolute majority that go into closed meeting to consider the following matters at 7:17 p.m. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Councillor Johnson or Courtney, thank you.
I've been called worse. It's fine.
Okay, can I just go back? Who moved that motion, please? Councillor Courtney?
Aye.
I seconded it.
Seconded, Councillor Roberts. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. We are now in the